Are you a leader feeling drained, overwhelmed, or disconnected from your true potential? What if I told you that you could reclaim your power and lead from a place of authenticity, clarity, and strength? Listen, today we're going to dive into the untold truths and practical strategies that help you regain control of your own journey. Come on, let's get started. Welcome back to Transformation Station. I'm your host, Adrienne Benton. And if you're ready to shake off the weight of burnout and step into a more purposeful, energized leadership role, then guess what? This episode is for you because today we're talking about how to reconnect with your inner drive, how to set boundaries that work to you, how to recover that's so that your traumas actually work for you and not hinder you. Well, listen, today I am absolutely excited because I have an amazing guest with us today. Let me tell you a little bit about Logan. All right, well, Logan, he's on a mission. He's on a mission to give back and to help people who feel imprisoned by trauma, fear, or false identities. He's trying to help them break free. He works with individuals and audiences to rewire limiting beliefs, process pain without getting lost in it. Come on now, we need this, don't we? And reclaim the fire that life, society, and survival sometimes tries to dim. I'm so excited. I know you are too. Logan, welcome to Transformation Station Leadership Podcast. It's wonderful to have you today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited and I appreciate all the work you're doing for your audience. And this is much needed. This is a much needed topic. We all deal with being stuck, trauma in one way or another in life.
Absolutely. So listen, as I was getting ready for this episode, I was thinking about this. And Logan, I was thinking about the fact that as leaders, right, we are often so focused on others that we forget to prioritize ourselves. When we talk about reclaiming our power doesn't always mean sacrificing for your mission, sacrificing for your team. It means being the best version of yourself. So I want to ask you this question. Let's start off right here. What does it really mean to be stuck in the comfort zone and in mental prisons? And how do we break out of them?
It's a great question. And it's something that most of the time sometimes we don't even know that we're in.
Hmm.
Sometimes we just find ourselves and like, how did we get here? How
How
did
do we
we
get?
get stuck? How did we get in this mindset or the monotony of wherever we are? Um, for mental prisons and being stuck in the comfort zone, it's a lot of times we're caught up taking care of so many other people that we forget to take care of ourselves. We forget that common thing that it's such a cliche now,
Hmm.
putting the mask on yourself first before taking care of others.
Hmm.
And we find ourselves, when life throws us curveballs with, divorce or medical issues or taking care of our children before we take care of ourselves, we find ourselves just sometimes just exhausted. And we're just doing the bare minimum um, to keep ourselves on track with work, with managing our colleagues, managing our workloads, and just trying to sometimes even just save face and just grind through this situation. And to those of you, it's very admirable, and I get it. We've all been there. We've
Hmm.
all had life, whether it's a medical issue or a stuck mentality, or we're just in a really difficult situation with family that we're navigating. But it's important to remember balance.
Mm.
It's important to remember uh, making sure we're taking care of ourselves in what I call that pie of life. And if
Pie
we
of
don't have all of those pieces of the pie together and fully formed, then we're gonna be lacking.
mm.
There's a saying that the skeletons in your closet will come back and bite you and haunt you if you're not taking care of yourself. So Communication with others, relationships with others, and so many people forget about the relationship with yourself, how you talk to yourself when you're
Mhm,
by yourself,
mhm,
what you're doing to fulfill your needs. Uh,
mhm,
and a lot of people nowadays consider that watching Netflix, scrolling on social media endlessly, but that's not really taking care of yourself. Taking care
mhm,
of yourself involves um, whether it's meditation, whether
mhm,
it's breathing exercises, whether it's going to find beauty in nature and
mhm,
creating art.
mhm.
Those are the real things that fulfill us, not binge watching something that's probably a little toxic for hours and hours on screen.
Listen, you are 1000% correct. And this, as you mentioned, is such a pivotal conversation. Here in Transformation Station, we always like to pause and give our listeners and our viewers an opportunity to reset and to assess. And so, to every leader that's listening right now, Logan has really dropped some serious gems as we have been talking about comfort zone, mental presence, taking time to stop and to reset, understanding that self-care is not selfish. It is a necessity. And we want to invite you right now to think about the comfort zone that you are operating in and also reflect on what mental prisons may you be dwelling in that it is time to get out of, right? I was thinking about this, Logan, as you were talking. The comfort zone isn't inherently bad. It's a space of familiarity, predictability, and psychological safety, but it becomes a trap when it turns into complacency or quiet resignation. And I think, many times we walk around like life is just happening, but many times life gives us clues. But there are some red flags that raise up before like that big traumatic event or that big mistake or, yielding to the temptation. And so we want to invite everybody right now, when you look at the comfort zone that you're operating in, absolutely, there should be a sense of familiarity to what you're doing, a sense of predictability, a sense of psychological safety. However, we want you to pay attention to when that comfort zone becomes a place of complacency, right? Where you are dwelling in mediocrity. You're no longer living life on purpose. I don't know, Logan, what do you think about that?
I completely agree. I completely agree. When you're in your comfort zone, you are not living in a place of authority and
Mm,
your best version of yourself. A lot
mm,
of times, as I mentioned, we get stuck, and
mm,
life ah, life is such a beautiful, amazing thing. But when you get stuck in complacency and you're just resigned to whatever situation you're in, you're
mm,
not being the best leader for yourself. You're not being the best leader for your team. You're not being, because now you're on the back foot. You
mhm.
are reacting to life as opposed to
Those.
really leaning forward and saying, okay, you know what, while I'm dealing with this difficult thing, I am
Mm,
going to seek help. I am going to do the things that I need so that I
mm,
can be the best fulfilled version of myself and for my team. It's
mm,
it's a really um, and you know what, to those listeners that might be there, the fact that you're listening and you're
mhm.
seeking help, that's the first step. Many
Yes.
people are so resigned into where they are, they don't even know. They're
Mhm.
just falling into that trap. And it's unfortunate, but seek help from others.
Yes.
The the community is one of the biggest places that you can get help, and those relationships that you value, trust me, they want to help you, but you
Yes.
have to reach out for help. No one knows what's happening inside if you keep it to yourself.
Yes, 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 yes. And to everyone listening, you have heard Logan. He is literally giving you one of the important keys for being able to move forward. Take hold of it, pay attention. And the other thing I wanted to highlight, Logan, was we mentioned mental prisons, right? And so while comfort zone is about behavioral habits, mental prisons are about beliefs. Now, Logan, I prepared like one or two beliefs, right? These mental prisons. And I want to ask you if you have ever either had these beliefs, right? Or listen to others around you be trapped by these mental beliefs. Okay, so examples of mental prisons: I'm not creative, I'm not strategic, I'm not disciplined enough, people expect me to be the steady one, so I can't take a risk. Have you ever heard any of these? Said any of these?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Myself and other people. And another common one is, the imposter belief syndrome, where they feel like they're not worthy of this role or they're not somehow deserving.
Mm,
Creative, strategic discipline enough. It happens. I think, and that's normal in human nature to feel like you are not enough. And
mhm,
unfortunately, one of those things that it's so key to who we are is identity and where those belief systems come from. Those things that sometimes our parent puts in us, or our, how we're supposed to show up in society. As a Black man, I should be a certain way, and therefore I have that belief system stuck in my head.
mm,
Or, I'm a veteran, therefore I should carry myself a certain way. And,
mhm,
you know, while sometimes those belief systems catapult us to something positive, sometimes those belief systems hold us back.
mm,
The belief systems from that our parents impose upon us, when maybe that might have been true for them, but
mhm.
perhaps not true for
Not true.
you.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so, um,
Mhm.
circling back to those limiting beliefs, those mental prisons can hold you back from truly living and feeling fulfilled if you
Mm,
choose to lean into them. Um,
mm.
I was a veteran I was in the military for 12 years, and I
Yes.
decided to pursue directing live television events.
Mhm,
I was an airport operations manager and completely took that left turn to pursue uh, my dream of
mhm,
directing events. And I had no I had no network in LA. I had no one in um, this industry, but I believed in myself that I had
mhm,
something to give in this industry. And
mhm,
so I had to work uphill to combat the I'm not creative enough. I didn't start in this industry when I was 19 and grow up
mm.
with it. I started in the industry when I was 30.
Mercy.
And so every one of us deals with certain things, especially to my veteran friends and military friends out there. I promise you, you have dealt with harder, more, um, you have dealt with more adversity in your life.
Mm.
You have been
Yep.
equipped to deal with anything that comes
Yes.
your way. Do not doubt yourself. Don't put
Yes.
yourself in your own box. And that's why I mentioned earlier, the things that you say to yourself when you are by yourself
Mm.
about yourself,
So
those are
important.
so key.
Yes, absolutely. To our listeners and viewers, I want to invite you right now, go ahead in the comment section and share with us what is resonating with you. I know that you have been hearing and connecting. And so we want to hear what's resonating with you right now. And I want to ask you this next question. When leaders feel drained or disconnected, right? What does reclaiming your power practically look like? We know the phrase, reclaim your power, right? But Logan, what does that really look like? How do I do that?
A lot of times as leaders, we spend so much time caring for our people that we don't care for ourselves as much. And what that looks like is, we're burning the candle on both ends. We're getting close to our wits' end, and we're not fulfilled in our normal life, and that will drain you. That over time is not sustainable, as we know. Um, as I teased earlier, it's important to not find yourself stuck in, the monotony of coming home, throwing something on for dinner and sitting down watching Netflix or scrolling endlessly on, whatever social media, toxic thing of choice. Because
Mhm,
truth be told, a lot of it isn't great out there.
mhm,
You need
mm,
to do something to, uh, again, I teach in my coaching sessions and strategy sessions balance. And what
mm,
that means is if you are not uh, nutritionally taking care of yourself, if you're not physically moving, if you don't have a robust resource center and relationships with not just family but friends and all of those things, if you don't have a good faith-based system, if you're not doing all of those things, and also, having fun. I think as adults, we forget to have fun and enjoy life, whether that's, watching a sunset, going to just sit on the beach and just zone out and
Mm,
meditate, relax. Those are the things that will refill your cup so you can show up as the best version of yourself. And everybody has something different for me. Um, I particularly enjoy going to the beach at pretty late at night, like 11 o'clock at night when no one
yes.
is out there and just
Mm,
sitting,
mm,
watching the waves, reflecting, looking at the stars when no one is there to distract me. And I just feel so fulfilled, kind of
mm,
grounding with nature and being one. And, sometimes if I can't get to the beach, I'll just go sit in my backyard and look up at the sky, at the stars, and just breathe
mm.
deeply, take those moments for myself, and really recognize and live in gratitude for what I have and what how far I've come in life.
Absolutely. And I love what you talked about, right? Because you're giving us practical best practices to stay grounded, practical best practices to reclaim your power. And, as you were talking, I was thinking to myself, when we hear that word power, right? Many times we think control, like you have to lord over something. But when we talk about reclaiming your power, we're talking about reclaiming you. What's good about you? Reclaiming your strength, renewing, right? Inviting your strengths to become opportunities. I love the fact that you gave us your practical illustration of going and sitting down and embracing quiet. And when you said that, I was thinking to myself, we are becoming so unaccustomed to quiet. I was in a room recently and the room we were waiting for the program to start and the room got quiet and people are just kind of like looking around like something should be going on right now, but it's not. Like it was almost like an awkward silence. And I was like, wow, we are so accustomed to noise. But in order to reclaim our power, we have to quiet the noise, right? And I often think to myself, when I need clarity, I got to stop hearing other people's voices, right? And I have to stop and reconnect to me, to hearing my own voice, right? That's how I get the clarity and the wisdom. So I love this. Thank you so much. I want to ask you this next question. How can self awareness and boundaries help leaders lead from a place of strength instead of burnout? We're talking to high driven leaders, right? They go, go, go. They've been working for a long time. And yet, many, when they raise their hand, they're dealing with burnout. Like it feel like it never ends. So, how can self awareness and boundaries help?
It's a great question. And I think, again, so many of these questions kind of overlap with each other.
Mm,
And 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 as a result, a lot of the answers overlap as well.
mm,
Boundaries, again, if we give ourselves to our colleagues and our work so much that when we don't institute good boundaries for ourselves, good self and time management, when we don't, when we allow others to take from us in ways that we're not necessarily feeling fulfilled, or it's not a healthy relationship,
mm,
those types of things will lead to burnout. And
mm,
in order to um, in order to combat that, you must be able to, you got to recognize what's happening, and
yes.
sometimes that
Yes.
involves, in my opinion, I'm always doing self inventory, gut
Mhm,
checks. Where am I headed? Where am I going? Where's my
mhm,
North Star? And what are the little things that's distracting me from getting there?
Mm,
Again, I focus on balance every day, and
mm,
it's not going to be perfect because the pendulum swings in various directions depending on
mm,
what's required of you.
mhm.
But knowing how much you have to give, how much, because every day isn't 100%.
That's
We
right.
might want to give 100%, but guess what? Sometimes physically, hey, you're battling a cold, or,
Right,
mentally, you're just not as sharp as you were yesterday. That's
right.
okay. But understanding, hey, today I have a little bit less to give, particularly as a leader, if um, you must have buy-in from
Mm,
your teams. You must have that rapport, and trust them to lead the sections and the areas of business that they're trained to lead. And guess
mhm,
what? Don't micromanage them,
mm.
because that micromanaging is taking energy away from yourself, and you're robbing them of an opportunity be um, to truly find success and find their rhythm to be the leader that they're meant to be.
Absolutely, 1000%. So I want to ask you this question, right? Talk to us a little bit about your own journey. Sorry. Talk to us a little bit about your own journey. And here's the question for someone battling trauma, right? Which a lot of our service members are struggling with trauma and or self-doubt when they get out of the military, and we have service members right now that are battling trauma, right? So for someone battling trauma or self-doubt, what's the first step, or I would even say to you, what are the steps to reclaiming their power?
It's a great question. My story, as you alluded to, is kind of a multifaceted one. I grew up pretty poor on the south side of Chicago, and to a mom that was, God bless her, she's such a beautiful soul, but she struggled with mental illness. And um, I was also raised in a pretty strict religious cult, and as a result, I wasn't able to eat chocolate as a child. We didn't celebrate any holidays. I wasn't allowed to play sports. Uh, and I joined the Air Force to kind of run away from that world. And as I progressed in my life, there was a lot of those things that I was just hoping to leave in my past. I just like, okay, I've moved on from that life. That is not a part of my life anymore. That religious trauma, all of I, I kind of glazed over this, but when I was in high school, I was actually suicidal, because not because I, you know, struggled with some of the other things that people struggle with, like drugs, or, abusing certain substances. I just was tired of being different
Mm,
from everyone
mm,
else.
mm,
My entire childhood life, I was, you know, teased endlessly and made fun of because I didn't celebrate holidays. I couldn't participate in gym class because we were playing sports. All of these things, it felt like every step of the way I was struggling with
mhm,
connecting with teachers, with connecting with others, and I felt really isolated as an only child.
mm,
And when I joined the military, like, guess what? I Those skeletons in my closet didn't go away. And
mhm,
as a result of me not processing those when I was 19, 20, 21, 22, little things in my life would appear, and
mm,
I would get so set back because I still was being triggered by things from my past.
mm,
Um, you know, as I mentioned, it's so important to talk about these things. Don't pretend like they're they're just your past and they're not to be dealt with or talked about. The more you deal with them, the more you um, come to peace with them and be
mhm,
at one. Like, you know what, this is a part of my story, but it does not define who I am and who I how I interact with others now, um, and my future. And as a result, um, I was finally able to be more present with myself, be more
mm,
present with my wife, be more present with, my children.
mm,
And these things, whew, every now and then, there are some things that still pop up, but
mm,
when you deal with that trauma, you have to approach yourself from a place of empathy. Particularly myself, as looking back as that child, little Logan was doing the best he could. He made choices out of um, necessity and just trying to make it through. And
So,
thankfully, I didn't take my life when I was young, but
mhm.
now my story is so much more powerful because of it. And when you realize your power because you've gone through such trauma, because you've dealt with strong adversity, that will
Yes.
lead to such amazing, so many more great things because you have come from someplace, you've dealt with something.
Yes. Yes. I'm going to invite you to say that again. You are talking directly to a leader and to our audience here. Say that last part again, please.
It's, it, we in life, everybody has a trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has something that they've come from. Everyone has something that they've navigated, whether it's divorce, medical issues. Life throws you curveballs, but because you've gone through this, because you have dealt with things in your life, you must use that as a way to connect with other people. Use it as a way to not just, and this is why I'm on podcasts and why I speak, because we're not here to keep our stories to ourselves. Because I've gone through so many really difficult things in life, my reach is so much greater, and your reach will be so much greater when you open up and connect with people and use it as a way to not hold you back, not think that you're less worthy or less than. Use it to propel you forward in life. That's the
Mm-hmm.
only way we move forward as a society, to connect with other people and say, guess what? You are not alone.
That's
You
right.
might be hurting right now, but guess what? How you start is not where you finish.
That's right. That's right. So, everyone, we remind ourselves in this community, we are not alone, not alone in any way, shape, or form. And as you were talking, I was thinking about this. This to me is one of the pivotal points of what you were saying, that we leaders, veterans, civilians, we, all of us human beings, we are to anchor ourselves in support, because no one heals in isolation. Like true, authentic healing does not happen in isolation. And it's important that we find safety, right? Finding safety in a person, in a space, or a practice gives us a foundation to stand on while we rebuild. No man was an island. You're going to have some tense moments, some moments where they seem a little uncertain. Why? Because there's a reset. There's a renewal that's happening. You don't want to stay the way you were. I always try to remind myself, as I'm seeking to overcome or heal, I want to overcome and become the best version of me, better than I was before. If I smiled before, I want to smile even wider now, right? If I had peace, I want to be even more peaceful now, right? And so it's important to anchor yourself in safety, right? Because again, healing doesn't mean doing it alone, it means choosing connections wisely. And that might mean, listen to Logan and I clearly, it might mean that maybe it's time for you to work with a trauma-informed therapist or coach. Don't deny that, right? This is about your healing. Maybe it's time for you to confide in that one trustworthy person. Most of us know at least one person, right? Or maybe it means, just like when Logan sat at the beach and he stopped and he allowed nature to just him and nature be present, might mean that maybe it's time for you to create a daily ritual that signals safety, right? Like grounding or journaling or mindful breathing. This is your life. And Logan and I invite you to anchor your safety in support. Okay. So I want to ask you this question, right? What best practices, and I kind of started a little bit, but I'm going to invite you to give us like one or two. What best practices can leaders, can military members, can we implement daily to stay grounded in our power while still serving, and empowering others?
Absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head with your list there. Staying grounded, journaling, mindful breathing. I would add, as you're journaling, if you add 3 things to the top of your list that you are grateful for, I
Mhm,
guarantee
mhm,
you will look at life differently as you navigate the world. Just
mm,
understanding and really embodying that you have so much to be grateful for every
mm,
single day. It's not about, uh, you know, belittling yourself or minimizing experiences or anything like that. It's about just being thankful for what you have,
mhm,
the and leaving that space to give to others.
mm,
Um,
hmm,
you mentioned mindful breathing.
mhm,
That is something that I one of the biggest things that I think in society today people forget.
mhm,
And it's something that doesn't cost you a dime. It takes virtually very little of your time. I am a big proponent of kind of this parasympathetic sigh, which is almost a form of box breathing, but where you inhale for 4 or 5 seconds. And, I always add the caveat of, if you're not, if you have breathing issues or if you have, some sort of medical issue, please consult your doctor and make sure that, whatever you do is best for you. But breathing in for a 4 or 5 count, holding it for a 4 or 5 count, and
mhm,
then exhaling for a 6 or a 7 count, and
mhm,
in through your nose, out through your mouth. That is one of the quickest things that you can do to relax your parasympathetic nervous system. And
mm,
I struggle with anxiety. I struggle with in PTSD and an overthinking mind, and kind of worrying about all these things that could happen.
mhm.
Um, but when I mentioned that I direct live television events now, that is
Yes.
something that I can do on the air in the midst of everything that's going on when I'm all stressed out. Guess what? I take that, do that a couple times, and guess what? You are physically rewiring your body. It is a shortcut to making your physical body more calm and relaxing your nervous system.
Mm.
And when you do that, guess what? You're going to make a more logical, informed choice as you navigate the next steps through getting through that stressful situation.
I love this. I love this Transformation Station community. Again, Logan is dropping some serious nuggets, right? Whether you're a veteran, active duty military, high driven power leader, these are all practices that we can adopt today. Very practical, right? Health is wealth. Taking care of your mental health, your physical health, your spiritual health, your emotional health is vital and important. And I want to remind everybody, in addition to what Logan shared, start the day in the center, not in reaction. Do a midday self check in. You can do this with yourself, right? You don't have to be loud, and just pause, be quiet, and check on you. You are important. Clarify what's yours to carry. Sometimes we're anxious and we're frustrated because we're holding on to stuff and baggage that belongs to other people. It's not ours, right? Let it go. And end the day with reflection, not rumination. Don't end the day angry and bitter and creating stories within your head about all the things that did not go right. But as Logan talked about gratitude, end the day with reflection. What can you be thankful for? What worked? What went well? What do you still have that is opportunity in front of you? So, Logan, as we turn the corner here, I want to ask you this final question. I'm going to invite you to speak directly to our community here with this last question. What is one action someone listening right now can take today to change their life?
I think the biggest thing that people can do to take control of their lives is to do that inventory. Are you happy with all of the aspects of your life? Are you happy with the relationships, how you show up for yourself, how you show up with others, your communication, uh, nutrition, movement, fun? Are you taking time for yourself every day to fulfill your cup? Um, and I think that will tell you everything you need to know. Because if you're happy with yourself, then you're going to show up as the best version of yourself for others. Um,
Mhm.
a self inventory, or as I like to call it, a gut check,
Mm.
is really imperative to how you and I I always like to say that the gut check will show you exactly what you're missing in life,
Yes.
or that thing that you're fearing or you don't want to deal with, that will also tell you where you need to go and like I said, those skeletons in your closet. One of my all-time favorite quotes is, "The cave you fear holds the treasure you seek."
Ooh.
And
Yes.
a lot of times those tender uh,
Mm.
subjects, those things that trigger us, maybe you need to do some self-reflection, some time by yourself and say, okay, why am I this thing that keeps coming up for me? Why am I triggered by it?
Mm.
Maybe talk to a therapist, seek,
Yes.
cognitive behavioral therapy, EMDR. There's so many proven, steeped in science ways to get help.
Mhm.
Speak to a trusted friend, as you mentioned. I myself use military tactics
Mhm.
plus neuroscience, proven neuroscience to help people achieve their goals and their dreams. I have been so fortunate enough to be a part of amazing productions, and I've directed, global broadcasts. I've been a part of uh, 6 or 7 French Opens as a director, multiple Australian Opens, and I've gone through and said, like, how did I come from such low lows and
Mm.
suicidal ideations multiple
Mercy.
times in my life, and
Mercy.
now having this power and being able to feel so fulfilled and happy in life. How did I
Mm.
go through all of this? How did I
Yeah.
still make it here? And I use this science and these tactics to help other people be the best version of them in life. So I
Mhm.
encourage you to do that self journey if you haven't, and always use that north star of your belief system, your value system, to make sure
Yes.
that you're showing up in the way that you want to in life.
1000%. Logan, I want to thank you so much. This has been such a rich, practical, relevant, inspiring conversation. I have no doubt that our listeners, our viewers, our leaders, our veterans, right, that everyone, that there's something that they were able to receive from you that resonated deeply with them. I want to ask you this question. For those who want to tap into your resources, you're a coach, how can they do that?
Absolutely. I am Logan, and my website is theloganunlimited.com, because I believe that everyone can be the you version of you unlimited.
Mm.
Whether it's limiting beliefs, whether it's pursuing your goals and dreams. I want to, and I'm on the Logan Unlimited on most of the social medias. Offering tips, tricks, and advice. I do ask me anythings. I have free coaching sessions, things like that. But it's important to me to give back and help other people, because I think that society is really, there's a lot of thirst for good information out there. And
Yes.
a huge thanks um, to you for this platform and for week in and week out giving people great advice, because everybody, it's so needed.
Thank you so much. Again, it has been a joy to have you. Logan, I think that we're going to have to ask you to come back again because I feel like we just barely scratched the surface on this conversation. So
Absolutely,
hopefully you'll
absolutely,
come back and see
anytime.
us again. But thank you also for what you're doing and how you're building up the community. And thanks so much for strengthening us as we move forward to reclaiming our power. All right. We'll see you again soon. Thanks so much.
Take care.
Thank you. All right. Well, listen, what an inspiring conversation. I can't thank Logan enough for what he shared with us today. I hope you're walking away with actionable steps that you can begin applying right now. And I want to hear from you. We want to hear from you. How are you reclaiming your power as a leader, as a veteran? Head on over to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Adrian Townsend Benson on YouTube. Share your thoughts. Matter of fact, you saw Logan's link. It's also in the description box. Reach out to him. Let him know that you saw or you heard this episode and share with him what resonated with you. All right. If you found value, the last thing I want to invite you to do is hit that subscribe button, right? Leave a review and share this with a fellow leader who also needs this message. So, until next time, take back, reclaim your power, and let's lead with intentionality.